Hi, this is Craig Stocks. I'm here talking about PiMagic Studio and specifically the functions in AstroMagic and how you can use that in Photoshop. So let's go through a very simple example, and this would be an example of an image from a one-shot color camera. Now in this case it's from an astronomy camera, so it's from a dedicated ASI 6200. Could be from a DSLR or any camera like that. So to start, I should open Photoshop. Here's our AstroMagic panel, and we'll want to start on the Import tab and Import Images, and we'll work with the Veil Nebula, and these are the output files from PiMagic. So we have an annotations. I have a final image that I'm not going to use because that would be just, pretty much just a standalone finished image. But we have the starless version and then the stars only version. So those are typically the three that you would want: the annotations, the starless, and the stars. Click open, and as I'm sure you know by now, AstroMagic is going to do the work of not only loading these files but organizing them into a way that they're ready to be worked on and optimized. So here's our layer stack, and we have annotations on top, and we can turn those off with the eyeball. Stars are next. We'll turn those off. Here's our global adjustments, and it's not really doing much of anything right now. The background's a little bit dark, so that that dark lighten air layer is doing more than it really should. And then we have our luminosity layer group, and this is where, if we open this layer group, we can see the structure of this layer group. There's our image that came out of PiMagic. Here's the automatic endpoints adjustment, and then the burn and dodge, levels to adjust brightness and contrast, color balance, and hue saturation. So let's start with the levels adjustment, and we can see that the histogram kind of peters out about in here on the whites. So let's go ahead and brighten the whites, and we'll bring that up something like that, and then let's brighten the midtones, which will brighten the image overall. And you can start to see a lot of dust that's becoming visible now. The background looks pretty good. You might darken it just slightly. I always work with a black canvas background, and that gives me just a visual point of reference for how black is too dark. So I don't want anything in the image to ever be as dark as this background. I always want it to be a little bit lighter. I might want to adjust the color, and I think in this case it looks a little blue, so I might add some yellow. I might go to the hue saturation and increase the color saturation to give the image a little bit more pop. Might come back and make it a little bit brighter. And of course, this is the beauty of the non-destructive workflow, is as you add color balance and saturation, you might want to go back and revisit some of these other adjustments. So as a starless image, that looks pretty good. Now I could go to my stars, and I almost always want to diminish the stars, which you do by making stars darker. And to make stars darker, you would use this levels adjustment, that pretty global, that you would use levels to make any portion of the image lighter or darker. So in our properties panel, I can use the midpoint slider, which is the overall brightness, make the stars darker, and you can see they begin to diminish, and that allows the structure of the nebula to show through even more. And once I get to this point, typically I don't crop images. I don't crop my master files in Photoshop, but if I wanted to create a saved version of this, what I might do is go to File, Export, and Export As, and then I could export it as a smaller JPEG. And doing that, I might want to crop it, so I might choose the crop tool from the crop tool palette. And right now it's set to a 16:9 aspect ratio. So I might choose to crop the image like this. Now, when you crop, it's important to unclick the option in the options bar, delete cropped pixels. So what this is doing, it's creating a crop of the image, but it's not deleting any of the pixels outside of that cropped area. So what I can do now is go to File, Export, Export As, and I would typically choose to export this as a JPEG, fairly high quality, and then you can specify a size, something like 2040 for Facebook. And so it automatically adjusts the height so that if the width is 2040, the height's going to be 1148. You have options to include or not include metadata, convert and embed the color profile. sRGB is a good profile to use, so I almost always have these checked. And then when I click Export, it'll give me the option to give it a name, and we can just name this Veil Example, and it saves this view as a JPEG. Notice all of my layers over here, everything is still intact. None of that changed. I've created a small JPEG that I can post on Facebook. I still have my full-size master file with all the layers intact. And if I want to bring back that crop at any point, and I could even do this after saving, closing Photoshop, and reopen it tomorrow, I can go to Image, Reveal All, and it reveals the full extent of the image, even if it had been cropped. As long as you didn't delete the cropped pixels, then you can always use that Reveal All and bring back the full image. You would then save this, File, Save As, and I would want to save this as a large document format. Give it a name, and I would typically save this specifically in my photo 2025 photos. It's 2026 now, and click Save, and it'll save this finished image with all the layers intact, ready to go. So that's a simple example of a one-shot color image. And in this case, we did not use dual narrowband. It was just the one-shot color. The next example, we'll look at one-shot color incorporating dual narrowband.